Mayor Justin Manalo, and I have the honor of delivering our annual State of the City address. Today, March 22nd, marks Daly City's 110th anniversary. And on this day in 1911, the city of Daly City was officially incorporated. We have changed so much in these last 110 years. And tonight, I will highlight the past year and also look forward to upcoming projects and programs that will continue to shape our beloved Daly City for the better. Now, I would like to recognize my colleagues and my fellow public servants, your council members. Thank you for your leadership and collaborative spirits during a very trying past year. We faced these challenges head on and together. In attendance tonight are Vice Mayor Dr. Rod Daus Magual, Councilmember Glenn Sylvester, Councilmember Ray Buenaventura, and Councilmember Pamela Di Giovanni. I want to take this moment to recognize Glenn Sylvester, who served as mayor during 2020. You helped lead us through something we have never experienced before, a global pandemic. Thank you on behalf of the City Council and our community. And to all my colleagues, I look forward to accomplishing our shared goals for 2021 and beyond. I know that we are strongly aligned around making Daly City a better place to live, work, and visit. Before before moving on, I'd like to say thank you for joining us this evening, County Supervisor David Canepa, Planning Commissioner Teresa Paraño, Personnel Commissioner Luis Landos, Small Business Commissioners Maybell Manio, Paloma Concordia, Arts and Culture Commissioners Nancy Rodriguez, and Dori Paniza. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I also want to thank our city staff. I am truly amazed by your resilience and how you ensured the continuity of services while so much of our economy and lives were shut down. Our city workers are on the front lines. They are essential workers, from water delivery to street maintenance to 911 emergency response to construction inspections. Our city staff are the people that make those services available to you. And they have persevered during a pandemic and did so with so much grace. Our local government is our city staff, and I hope the community understands just how important you are. The people who work in City Hall, at our libraries, out in the field, and in our streets and parks. I'm so proud of your accomplishments. So here we are, a year after the first shelter in place order. We have all been impacted in profound ways. We are now on the road to recovery, especially as vaccine distribution ramps up. I have been working tirelessly to ensure that local vaccine sites open in Daly City because we know that vaccines are the only way out of this pandemic. I want to begin at looking back on the past year. Despite the pandemic, a catastrophic wildfire season, rapid change in society, and a contentious presidential election, Daly City has remained strong and determined. Immediately after the first shelter in place order, Daly City was among the first cities to transition to video content. Videographers on staff became new, important partners in our public communications, helping to film and produce weekly public service announcements with city leaders. Also, we provided virtual forums for our city council and commission meetings so that we could preserve public input. I am committed to transparency here in Daly City, and engaging with you has been a top priority for the city council. Last year, we held two special meetings focused on racism in society and the Black Lives Matter movement. We heard about your personal experiences and opinions for future change, and I thank you for participating. We will continue these community conversations. In 2020, the Black Lives Matter movement was catalyzed by too many tragic events. We were open to your feedback, and our police department was committed to also social justice. We supported two protests at City Hall by local residents and community groups. And we recently joined the Community Wellness and Crisis Response Team with three other cities and county health. Later in this spring, a mental health clinician will be embedded to respond to the emergency 911 calls for residents experiencing mental health crises. We're working to make this 2-year pilot program a big success, and your city council has already prioritized increasing the number of mental health clinicians in our city. Let's work together to fine tune and expand this program over time. Your input as our community members is always welcomed as we continue discussions in addressing systemic racism. Also, your city council was also quick to denounce the sharp rise in the anti-Asian attacks at the start of the pandemic. We followed through with a citywide campaign by partnering with our local businesses to display branded United Against Hate posters in storefront windows. And recently, we condemned a renewed rise in anti-Asian violence. And just this past weekend, we held a rally at City Hall to stop AAPI hate in honor of the 6 Asian women and many of the brutal assaults. The racist and misogynistic acts towards Asian women and Asian Americans must stop. We will continue this work. And recently, I'm working with grassroots organizations on a community-centered approach in response to the robberies attacking mostly Asian elderly women with the Filipino Bayanihan Resource Center and Cultivate Labs called Kapwa Sentinel or Saint Sentinel, which I encourage others who want to participate, let's join together. It will be a community watch program to assist seniors so do not have to walk alone and make sure there is a presence in frequent places they convene. Also, let me share with you Census 2020 success last year. Everyone in our extremely diverse city deserves to share their voice and be heard. And in 2020, that also meant being counted. Daly City was one of the harder to count areas of our county during 2020 and and as you all know, the census is the cornerstone of our democracy. Many countless hours of our outreach staff, community organizations, and volunteers, we did an amazing 76% of our residents that responded to the census. And that's during a pandemic. We beat the state's response rate by 6 points and the national response rate by 9. And this means that our diverse community, our community of immigrants, stood up to be counted to ensure that we get our fair share of federal funding. Daly City overcame its hard to count status through our community's strong networks and social ties. Also, as a city, we focus continually on equity and our most vulnerable populations. In 2020, we raised the pride flag at City Hall for the first time in our history. It was one of the many commitments to supporting visibility of our diverse community. The digital divide. Equity in our new virtual world is also paramount in the face of the digital divide. Public Wi-Fi is now offered outdoors at 5 new locations through the partnership with the county's Digital Equity Project to help students and adults alike who need internet access. And Chromebooks, laptops, Wi-Fi hotspots are offered for checkout at our libraries through a curbside pickup program. These technologies have helped our residents checked out 53,000 in digital items from ebooks to videos, a 40% increase over the last year. And our residents have always also accessed over 160 virtual library programs, and many of the programs are in Tagalog, Chinese, and Spanish, which have been most popular. We are overcoming the digital divide with a strong support from the Daly City Public Library Associates. And I look forward to DCPLA naming the first ever Daly City Youth Poet Laureate next month. Also, we understand that the economic vulnerability of our community has been top of mind. And just this month, your city council unanimously adopted an emergency hazard pay ordinance that now requires $5 per hour hazard pay for grocery and drugstore workers. These essential workers are our local heroes and have helped keep our food and pharmaceutical supply chains intact while being exposed to large amounts of people every single day. Hazard pay will ensure they are compensated for the dangers they face on the job. Also, I want to celebrate that our local minimum wage has reached $15 an hour in 2021. So for every year after, the minimum wage will increase with the consumer price index. Daly City knows that our local workers making minimum wage deserve increases that keep up with our economy. Also, with rental assistance, our community cares about the most vulnerable, as mentioned, and it's why we responded quickly last year to help residents who lost their jobs and could not pay rent. One of the largest expenditures we made for direct relief was about 1.3 million allocation for emergency rental assistance program offered through the Community Service Center. We have helped 70 households to date and have funding to help many more. Our residents also need emergency assistance locally. The city is running or has supported multiple large scale emergency grocery distribution and meal programs, including meal delivery to homebound older adults. There are currently 5 locations in Daly City operating these large scale events. We also responded even before the pandemic occurred to an eviction crisis. Over 3 months ahead of the state, we took an emergency step to make no cause, no fault evictions illegal in our city. Then we supported a county-wide moratorium on evictions at the start of the pandemic. We also responded to the need for hyper-local testing and vaccine clinics. Ensuring our residents could get tested close to home was extremely important, and we were successful. You can get tested every week in Daly City. We are now working closely with the county and local health institutions to offer hyperlocal vaccine clinics in our neighborhoods. Clinics at the Dolger Center, Seton Medical Center, the Chinese Hospital, Northeastern Medical Center have all been very successful. We are pushing for recurring local vaccine clinics at even more sites using city facilities so that our older adults do not have to travel far for vaccines. Also, as one of the World Health Organization's officially age-friendly cities, we are committed to supporting the fastest growing population demographic in our city, and it's our older adults. A new active adults website, we have a special senior hotline, a virtual wellness check, a pen pal program, and a total overhaul of the congregate nutrition lunch program, which are just some of the initiatives we are implementing right now. Our city staff meets regularly with the age-friendly task force to ensure that we meet goals around communications this year, as well as the 8 domains of livability. Daly City is evolving to meet the needs of your ever changing population, and older adults are a big focus. And for our youth, just as our older adults need support, so do our youth and students. Over the past year, our recreation division has done a remarkable job transitioning to virtual content for youth and our community at large. There are just too many amazing programs to name tonight. We are now even on TikTok. This year, you can look forward to podcasts with the Daly City Youth Advisory Committee and episodes on the new Daly City Teens Vision, or DCTV, to highlight our local teens about politics, mental health, business, and more. We look forward to the Volunteer Leadership Program and the After School Youth Recreation Program this summer. Let's move on to our economic recovery. And for our businesses, we also know that you care about the local businesses in our economy to move into recovery. And I'm so happy to report that we kicked off this new Small Business Commission last month. And commissioners will play a vital role in our recovery from the pandemic by advising the City Council about strategies to support our small business community. And this is important because over 80% of businesses in our city are small businesses. In regards to our financial sustainability, our city staff are closely monitoring the economy and updating our financial forecasts as new data becomes available. We need to ensure that our city is financially sustainable. And last year, we took actions by adopting a general fund reserves policy so that we have enough cash on hand for future disasters. And our finance department debuted a financial forecasting tool to better plan for the next decade. It's no surprise that once again, our finance team has been recognized by the Government Finance Officers Association for outstanding financial reporting. Measure Q. Our community is also concerned about the city's financial sustainability. And thank you so much to the voters of Daly City for approving Measure Q, the Daly City's local recovery and relief measure. More than 72% of you voted in favor of Measure Q, and that's an overwhelming level of support. We're committed to spending this money on top community identified needs earlier this month when we held our first town hall measure on Measure Q priorities. We know that our community values fire and paramedic services, disaster response, the maintenance of our infrastructure, youth and senior services, and support for our businesses. Emergency response. Emergency response has been even more important during the pandemic, and I want to acknowledge that our first responders never stopped their in person work. The North County Fire Authority developed and implemented our pandemic response plan at the same time, deployed fire companies and chief officers to multiple major wildfires throughout the state. You know that when you call 911, it's often fire and paramedic personnel that respond when you need help. And last year, the North County Fire Authority sent a fire company on the scene within 5 minutes and 42 seconds to all fire and medical emergencies, exceeding the established goal. And over half of the pre-hospital treatments they provide are for senior citizens. This year, fire personnel will be involved with COVID vaccinations, preparing for a major emergency evacuations and natural disasters, and promoting wildfire preparedness among so many other community training programs. The best way we can adapt to a changing world is to be prepared. It's why your city council unanimously voted to restore Engine 95, a fire engine company that was reluctantly eliminated after the Great Recession to balance the city's budget. We are finally in a financial position to restore Engine 95 thanks to Measure Q. Also, the Daly City Police Department has also provided uninterrupted service during the pandemic. Last year, we saw a 36% reduction in violent crimes and zero homicides for the second year in a row. Police seized 43 illegal firearms and are on track even more this year. Daly City is in the top 50 safest cities in California and in the top 23 cities nationwide for decreased costs of crime. Our police officers have supported community events, including traffic control at 5 recurring emergency food distribution events in Daly City. And let's not forget that our very own DCPD rescued Mackie the lemur, who was stolen from the San Francisco Zoo and ended up in Daly City. Our first responders are not just police and fire personnel. They are also workers in our Department of Water and Wastewater Resources who maintain the water and sewer systems that we depend on. Last year, our water employees responded to requests for service within 15 minutes and continue to be available for calls 24/7. Despite the pandemic, waste and water and wastewater have rehabilitated two potable drinking water wells, updated the sewer management plan, and implemented many safety measures. And to alleviate economic stress, they also deferred a water rate increase for 6 months by freezing their budget and keeping positions vacant. A major initiative, the Vista Grande Drainage Basin Improvement Project, has reached important milestones. This regional project will improve stormwater drainage and minimize flooding risk, provide a water source for Lake Merced, and protect the environment. It's now fully designed with a partnership of multiple agencies and an incredible level of funding. 135 million has been identified to date. I cannot emphasize how valuable our workforce is. Despite a net loss of 30 positions since the Great Recession, our employees are dedicated to this community. The Human Resource Department has been instrumental in keeping staff updated on the latest safety protocols, COVID related policies, disaster service worker, and coronavirus trainings. The city welcomes members of the public to join our workforce. On site employment exam proctoring has been modified to safeguard job applicants and staff, and interviews are conducted virtually. HR has successfully completed 18 recruitments during the pandemic, with 18 more in progress to fill the budgeted vacancies. Also, our city staff are working on so many big projects in our future. Last year, the City Council adopted 4 master planning efforts that will reshape Daly City, including the Vision Zero Action Plan to reduce pedestrian and motorist fatalities to zero by 2035. The Parks and Open Space Master Future for Parks. The ADA Self Evaluation and Transition Plan to make our public programs and facilities accessible to all. And the Walk Bike Daily City Plan to create safe and accessible routes for pedestrians and bicyclists. Our public works staff are already working on the goals of these plans, leveraging about 4.25 million in grant funding this year to construct citywide bicycle and pedestrian improvements that begin and they have begun public outreach on Vision Zero. They plan to complete the pedestrian access to Thornton Beach, dramatically improving the streetscape on Mission and Top of the Hill, and make the crosswalks safer in the city's high injury networks. Our physical environment is changing with the needs of our community. It takes time and funding to do it, and I'm proud that these important projects are starting so quickly after intense master planning efforts. And this year, you will notice big renovations at Gellert Park, Dolger Senior Center, Westlake Library, and Hillside Park. You'll be able to charge your electric vehicles at Gellert Park and City Hall. Construction of the charging stations is nearly complete at Gellert and City Hall will begin soon. We will be holding a celebration of these renovations um, forthcoming, and please join us for them. Sustainability. This year, you will have the opportunity to weigh in on how the city should tackle climate change over the next decade as we update our climate action plan. Daly City was one of only 6 cities last year to receive the Beacon Vanguard Award, which is the highest honor a government can achieve for climate action from the Institute for Local Government. So I look forward to our updated, progressive plan to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions. There's so much in the works too. We'll soon be considering how to tackle plastic pollution, and we'll be continuing to grow our urban forests through the Helen Putnam award winning Project Green Space. We can all play a part in making our environment healthier. Clean Daily City. Our daily experience in our environment is such a large determinant of our quality of life. And I'm particularly proud that we launched Clean Daily City, the Clean, Livable Environment and Neighborhoods Initiative to curb illegal dumping and littering. Initially focused on public education, we are now launching our engagement phase, which will include a call for neighborhood champions. And efforts this year will include enforcement through the revamped illegal dumping and litter ordinance and the installation of cameras in hotspots. Now for short-term rentals. We heard from many of our residents that Airbnb rentals have disrupted life in our residential neighborhoods, and we have responded. After many community discussions, we adopted a short-term rental ordinance to protect our housing stock and community character, while still providing opportunities for homeowners to generate revenue. I'm grateful to all the residents that shared their feedback over many months with us. Now moving on to housing. As you know, protecting our housing stock and creating more housing is a key priority in Daly City for a long term. And when it comes to affordable housing, we really shine in comparison to the region. We are providing 2.9 million in housing trust funds to the SHP Foundation to preserve 16 apartments on East Mulkey that are occupied by very low income households who would have been otherwise displaced. This nonprofit will be rehabilitating and making sure that they remain affordable for the next 55 years. Also, the largest affordable housing development on the peninsula, Midway Village, is currently under construction. When completed, 555 affordable units with many other amenities will transform our Bayshore neighborhood and community. Also in the Bayshore, Habitat for Humanity's Geneva Village project is nearing completion with 6 new townhomes for sale to low-income households who complete 400 hours of sweat equity. Our very own Daly City executive team even volunteered for a day of construction on the site, which was formerly a Daly City fire station. We have also entered into an agreement with Bridge Housing to potentially develop 350 homes for low income households at a city-owned site next to Cow Palace. We hope for more good news about this development this year. And the affordable housing does not stop here. A 7-story mixed-use apartment building is going up at a vacant parcel at 493 Eastmore, offering 72 affordable units within walking distance of Colma Bar. And recently, our local school districts have taken on affordable housing. The Jefferson Union High School District plans to build 1,100 units of affordable rental housing and other amenities for school district teachers and their families. We also approved a project with Jefferson Elementary School District that will offer 56 below market rate apartments, and they'll be 100% electric. We have another development that has gone all electric too. The Hub is a 75-unit development located right at the, you all remember, the former Cerebral site. And 8 of those units will become below market rate units. And the developer also paid $1 million to our city's housing trust fund that we can use to build more affordable housing. As developers start to go electric and break our dependence on natural gas, staff is also working to bring REACH codes to the City Council. These REACH codes will add requirements for new development to be all electric and be ready for electric vehicle charging. As we continue to build in Daly City, we need to ensure that new buildings use clean electricity, which is already provided by our regional energy supplier, Peninsula Clean Energy. And I'm excited for Daly City to join a growing list of cities in the Bay Area to adopt REACH codes this spring. On development, besides housing, there are other exciting developments. Duggan's Mortuary will be expanding with a new event center, and a Carvana vending machine tower for car sales will be going up at Ginevra Serra and Westlake Avenue. There is still much activity at Ceremony Shopping Center, and we approved 2 new drive-through restaurants, including a Chick-fil-A and Starbucks. As you can see, our city is well prepared to recover from this pandemic and recession. We strive to take care of all members of our diverse community, and we are addressing the most pressing challenges of our time. We are standing up against injustice and violence, and we are committed to listening to you, our community members. And by working together to create a bright future in Daly City, let's remember to respect each other and be kind when we are under so much stress. We need to collaborate to make positive change in our city, and I know we can do it. There is light at the end of the tunnel, and we have so much to look forward to this year. Daly City has a great foundation with the approval of Measure Q by our voters, and Congress recently approved the American Rescue Plan of 2021. Federal funds for state and local governments are on the horizon, and we will use these funds to support recovery. And I'm thrilled by the news that the rental assistance programs are expanding at all levels of government. We understand that many individuals and families need support in our recovery, and we will ensure that new assistance is targeted to the hardest hit community members in our neighborhoods. I can feel the anticipation of reuniting with loved ones in person soon and traveling about our daily lives without fear of a virus. Vaccines are rolling out, and we are working hard to ensure that equity in vaccine distribution and soon and vaccines will be available to mostly everyone. So when it's your turn, I urge you to get the vaccine. Our comeback depends on it. I want to thank each and every one of you today. I will end my remarks in the same way I end each of my weekly peek review videos. Stay safe, Daly City, and together we will get through this. Thank you.